Hi guys, my name is Shane Cuthbert. Welcome back to the Change Your Life course, and we're really at the tail end now, only a few lessons to go. So make sure you're congratulating yourself for being here. Yeah, well done. You know, honestly, it's really important that we reward ourselves and do this together. So yeah, no, thank you. Good to see you again. Let's jump into the next lesson. Those people that don't really change over the years, their perception of their identity is really, you know, a bit like a on-off switch. They're the people that have it switched off until they feel ready. You know, they have it switched off until the environment around them changes, and then they can switch it on. You know, they wait until someone gives them permission to flick the switch, you know, so they can get on the program, they can start exercising or doing the diet. You know, they're waiting till the time's right. Then when they fall off and, you know, they fall over, they flick that switch off again, you know, they turn it off again. They go back to the default off setting, okay? They go back to who they were and what they were doing. It's the yo-yo dieter. It's the person that keeps getting on and off the wagon again when they're trying to change, you know, drinking less or doing less drugs and things like that, doing negative things. That's the type of person, okay? It's like an on-off switch. They keep switching it on and off. It's very fixed. And here's an analogy for you. Those people that, you know, have that growth mindset, and those people that do change, they don't really have that on-off switch so much as they've got a dimmer switch. It's a switch that's always pulling back down towards the darkness, okay? It's keeping them, you know, 2 steps back. You know, but whenever it does that, they just make a conscious decision to respond back with, it's okay. And by doing this, they're pushing that switch forward just a little bit more. They push it back, they push it forward a little bit more than it pushed back. So over time, they just keep moving forward. Even though they're taking those steps backwards, they're still moving forward bit by bit at a time. So eventually, on the inside, their identity just grows, you know, lighter and lighter and lighter as time goes on, as they change. As they're changing, these things are getting easier, you know, they're making those net gains. And that's why, you know, when you fast forward 10 years, you're able to look at them and see, you know, what they've done. But because people with a fixed mindset don't know how to communicate that message with themselves, because they don't know how to, you know, tell themselves that it's okay every time the switch is off. It just ends up going backwards and forwards between on, off, on, off, on, off. And over 10 or 20 years, they don't change because they never told themselves that it was okay to do so. People with a fixed mindset that have an on-off switch on the inside, they don't zoom out so well. They see that anything that's happening at, you know, any one given point in time is representative of everything. Because I failed at this, this, and this, or because I am now a failure at, you know, this and that, because because I didn't, you know, achieve this and that, I'm never going to be able to achieve this. I'm never going to be able to achieve that. Because this and this happened to me, you know, it's all bad. It's all or nothing, okay? That fixed mindset is in control. Whereas the people with the growth mindset that have that dimmer switch, they are able to zoom out a lot better, okay? They're able to get outside themselves a little bit more and see things as they are. They can zoom out and they can acknowledge that, look, I may have failed at this thing. I may have fell down, you know, there, or I went wrong here. But when I see the biggest picture, I can see that failure was only a small part of, you know, the bigger picture of something that I'm still going to achieve. I'm still on track. You know, that one step back, you know, it's okay because I've still made that extra step forward. They can see that when they zoom out, they're still making those 2 steps forward. Even though they're making the step back, their focus is on seeing it for what it is, and they can see that still at the end of, you know, zooming out, they can still see and acknowledge that they have still actually, you know, achieved something. They are still in the right direction. They are still doing something. They can see and acknowledge that it's okay to have setbacks and it's okay to fall over. Because they know that it's okay, they accept it and they move on, they get back up. It's the people that don't know that it's okay. They think it's terrible. They think it's bad. They get scared. They think, well, what's the point of trying? What's the point of getting back up? You know, because I fall down all the time. It's a difference between the mindset there. So those things that the person that with a fixed mindset gets stuck on, the person with the growth mindset sees that and sees that, oh, that's some things that, we don't have to get stuck on. They're a part of the bigger picture, but, they're just a small part. It's not the end of the world. It's a lot easier to give yourself that reassurance and that pat on the back and tell yourself that it's okay when you've done it with repetition. When you get into the habit of doing that for yourself, obviously it becomes so much easier to be able to do that. Trying to tell yourself it's okay when you're not able to zoom out and see the bigger picture is a lot more challenging. One of the things that you're going to be able to become aware of now is that frequently the world around us is just communicating black and white thinking back to us constantly. The world around us is full of black and white thinking. That couple that come along to therapy, a few lessons ago, their friends and family around them are inevitably going to, when giving them feedback, they're going to give them that same black and white feedback. They're going to say things to them like, oh, yeah, no, you're the innocent one. Yeah, no, you're the victim. Yeah, no, that person's, they're no good. It's their fault. They're going to, help condition you to feel the way that you felt before you went to therapy. They're going to tell you that the other person's at fault. The other person needs to change. Now, you only have to read the comments on social media to see that everybody wants to take a side. Everybody wants to find out who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. You look at something on social media where maybe a post or an image or something is a little bit controversial and you can see that there is two sides. There's people saying, this is a good thing, this is a bad thing. How many people are just actually saying, it is what it is? You don't see things either way. You don't see that very often because most people are using black and white thinking. The world around us is constantly hitting us with black and white thinking all the time, and we're taking that in unconsciously. Don't wait for the world around you to change the black and white thinking. This becomes more than important than ever to be able to, use that personal boundary to be able to sort of look at your fixed mindset and tweak it, change it. You want to develop a growth mindset. Separate the black and white thinking of the outside world and create that permissive headspace on the inside that's going to allow you to grow. When you're able to separate the reals from the feels and you're able to see things as they are, it's important to remember those two powerful words and practice communicating to yourself frequently. Okay, so it's important, whenever you're struggling with those thoughts and those feelings, to acknowledge them and tell yourself that it's okay. Just do it with repetition. Just do it until it becomes a habit. Do it until you no longer have to consciously, tell yourself to do it. You're just doing it naturally, unconsciously, going with the flow. Now, just as an example, there's still some responsibility here where you need to also understand when it's not okay. So if you're driving down the highway and there's an accident up ahead and if you don't do anything about the situation, you're, basically on a collision course with, a truck, you need to know that that's certainly not okay. Sometimes there's things that you need to do. There's times when you need to step in and make a change to, fix or solve a problem, and you've got to sort of do it on the spot. So you've got to be able to also recognize when something is okay and when something's not, okay? So if you go back to that example in, the last couple of videos, you're crossing that bridge, you can obviously see that, in that situation, it is okay, okay? The bridge isn't going to sort of, fall. It's not falling. It's not sagging with the weight of too many people on it. Obviously in that situation you would realize that it's not okay. It's not safe. What it's really about is being able to separate the things that you can control with the things that you can't. Okay, so if you're on the highway and you're going straight for this semi-trailer now, that is something that you can sort of control to a certain extent. You know, you might be able to jerk the wheel, you might be able to apply the brakes. There's certain things that you can do that are within your control in order to avoid that situation. But yeah, likewise, if you're on that bridge, you can, you know, whether or not that bridge collapses at that particular time is beyond your control. I mean, you don't know that. It looks safe. And, you know, most cases it's going to be safe. When it comes to taking control and being aware of those things that you can take control of, you need to zoom in. Here's the question that I want you to consider, okay? So once you've zoomed in, you've praised the efforts, okay? You've told yourself that it's okay. Now it's time to take charge of the things that, you know, you couldn't take charge of before. Now it's time to change the things you were unable to change about yourself before. What do you tell yourself then? Okay, what's that next thing you tell yourself? Because that's the moment where the most exciting part of the change process starts to happen. Over time, despite the extra steps backward, your accumulation of net gains will see you move much further forward, compared to those who avoid vulnerable feelings by staying safe in the light space of a fixed on-off switch. Lastly, keep in mind that the world around us will almost always communicate to us in ways that will reinforce the black and white thinking of a fixed mindset. For that reason, don't wait for the world to change the way it communicates with you, because it won't. This is why it's more important than ever to learn and practice communicating with ourselves in this way, in spite of the world's all or nothing inner voice of influence. In the following lesson, I'll reveal to you the third part of the self-communication process. So you'll know what to say to yourself once you zoom back in and decide to take a new and empowering course of action.